On to the next topic here. Digital divide is such an important phenomenon that's going on. It basically, when somebody talks about digital divide, it refers to the gap in the reach, use and access to internet enabled content and applications. Right? Not everybody has the same level of access to the content that we all are so used to. Right? So in the urban cities that we live in, and in countries so advanced like in the US and so on, and even a lot of advanced countries in Europe and in Asia, there are the haves and have-nots. So there are people who are connected to the content and applications because they have the ability to subscribe to an internet access, right, broadband access at home or elsewhere. So they are able to get access to information, content and applications and whatnot. And they are able to learn, take their learning to the next level, knowledge to the next level. But in a lot of countries, even in Africa and parts of Asia and so on, it's the divide, the digital divide between the haves and have-nots is even wider, right? But it is also going to get wider even here in the US, right? If you are from the US, so you can already see a lot of differences in terms of who has access to the internet. Even high schools, for example, in some areas have access to these digital technologies. They use the internet to do a lot of things, but not all schools have adopted this because they are not able to, because they don't have the resources, they don't have the skill sets, and it's not easy. Transforming every institution, every business, every government agency, society, we are all becoming digitally enabled, right? That's the whole idea of why we are talking about digital marketing, digital terminologies and so on, right? So this digital divide is really very important to keep an eye on, right? And so this gap is actually widening, and drastic measures have to be taken in order to bridge this gap. So one of the initiatives that Facebook is trying to do is internet.org, internet.org. So if you go there, you can go look at how they are trying to make the internet a freely available for everyone, so that once it's freely available, then there is the opportunity for people who cannot go to school, who cannot afford to go to school, who can actually log in whenever they have free time and then be able to learn on their own, right? And we are living more and more, we are moving towards a on-demand economy. On-demand economy meaning we want to actually learn something at our own pace, on demand, when I'm free, right? As opposed to coming to the school at a certain time, fighting traffic and all sorts of things, right? So we are becoming more and more of an on-demand service economy, right? Worldwide. This is not just in the US context, so it's worldwide. So this is happening worldwide because thanks to the internet and the associated technologies that have spawned using internet as the foundation. So hopefully you get an idea of what the digital divide is. It's really the gap between the haves and the have-nots. Right? So another important topic that is digital currency and cryptocurrency. Right? Digital currency refers to virtual currency that can be used similar to and instead of physical currency. So instead of pulling out your dollar note, for example, you can actually fire up your mobile app and then pay using your app, but the currency that you exchange could be bitcoins. Bitcoin is an example of what's happening with currencies, right? A lot of economies are now developing their models around digital currency, right? So even India, for example, is looking at a cashless society. So that provides a lot of benefits. One of the obvious benefits is that you don't have to carry money with you, so you're safe from being attacked, right? So it may seem very trivial here, but it happens all the time in other parts of the world. And the fact that you can actually pay without even touching anything, right? So you can literally walk up to something and then pay using your mobile phone or or some sort of artifact, application artifact on the kiosk, for example. So it makes it a lot easier to conduct a transaction, right? And digital currency is safer, it's trackable. That's a big thing for a lot of governments and even private industry. You want to track if your transaction has been completed and progressed. Just imagine exporting goods, right? If you have experience exporting goods, it is not easy. You have to keep track of where it is at all times, right? And there are many handlers in between as the product moves from your port here in the US to China, for example. There are many handlers in between, and they all need to conduct transactions, right? They're basically taking your product, moving it to someplace in China. So there are a lot of things that happen in between, which we are going to talk about later in the program. Right? So this sort of digital currency is really useful, right? It's universal. You don't need to start thinking about exchange rates and things like that. It's automatic, right? Digital currency is sort of borderless, just like the internet is borderless, right? So it's a very interesting development, and it's very innovative. Just watch for big changes happening in this area of digital currency. Okay, cryptocurrency is basically a form of digital currency that is encrypted to originate, regulate, and verify transactions. So cryptocurrency is what all these companies use. I was just referring to a shipping from US to China, for example. All the parties involved are using basically cryptocurrency. It's encrypted, so nobody else, only people who have access to it can see it and verify the transactions, regulate it, or even originate a transaction. Okay. Digital business. So this is a very broad term, right? Basically, the way I look at digital business is merging the digital and physical worlds to create, operate, and innovate on new business and economic models. Very simply, that's what it is, right? So if you are a company in the physical world, grew up in the physical world 50 years ago, it was all about industrial revolution, right? So circa 94, when the internet became a business platform, it's all about the information revolution that we are in, right? So that's what's driving us. Every company, our behavior on how we buy things and so on, everything is being influenced by the information revolution. And the trigger obviously was the internet, right? The internet becoming a commercial platform triggered all of this. So a digital business is basically trying to merge digital and physical worlds. This is true. There are companies that are purely digital, like for example Spotify and Pandora. There is no physical, you don't burn a disc, right, and then mail it to someone. If you want to listen to music, you just subscribe to a service like that, right? Spotify, Pandora, and even iTunes, right? So you download the music in some cases. In some cases, you just stream the music to your device, right? So those are pure digital businesses, but there are also businesses that sell appliances, for example, Whirlpool as an example, Samsung, LG, and so on. So you get your washer and dryer and so on. There are smart washer and dryers as well, right? So the digital world is merging with this physical world. So we are going to see a lot more integration between the digital technologies and the physical products that we touch and use every day, right? So it's going to be very interesting in the next 10 years. Every business is going to be disrupted in one way or another. Digital business model, right? How does this contrast with traditional business model? It's not any different other than the fact that the business model, in the digital business model, you have a significant digital component to it, right? You may have online or mobile offerings that are based on a recurring subscription revenue or pay-per-use or as a one-time fee or a combination. It's like your magazine subscription that you have been doing for a long time. Now pretty much anything can be on a subscription basis, not just magazines alone, as an example, right? So soon we may see autonomous cars. With autonomous car technology, you're going to see ownership of car may be declining, right, over time, right? So because you don't need to own one, you can just call upon a car to come and drive you to wherever you want to go, right, on demand. So earlier I mentioned about on-demand economy. Here's another example, right, autonomous cars. So that's also a business model shift that's happening.